All right, in this video, we will go over how we are going to make our C-clamp base. We're going to use a new tool, new technique here called a sweep. A sweep allows us to take a 2D boundary and extrude it essentially, but instead of extruding it in just one vector direction, we get to select a path. So if we look at just the C-clamp here, we could sort of imagine we have this section view right here that has this profile. And if only we had a path that we could say, hey, extrude this shape, but extrude it, along this path that we have. And that's what the sweep allows us to do. So we'll use that to create our C-clamp base. So with NX open, we're going to start a new model. We're going to be in inches. We'll start with a sketch. Our sketch is going to be in the front plane. So we'll go ahead and sketch on the front. And what we'll be doing is we'll be sketching this shape here. All right, so this is the cross section from this section plane right here. We will draw this shape and then we'll extrude it, we'll sweep it along a path that we make. So back in NX, I'll use my profile tool, and we're going to use the mirror tool for us as well. So I'll sketch 1/2 of this, mirror it, and I'm going to leave off the top and bottom lines whenever I do this first half, dimension everything, and then when I mirror it, I'll go ahead and add in those top and bottom lines. We want to make sure that that these two sides are symmetrical. We could have just drawn, I guess, half of this and then mirrored that and mirrored this again, but we'll go ahead and just go with this. So I want to make sure that this line and this line are vertically aligned, and also that they are the same length. I'm going to go and turn on create persistent relations. I'll do a make vertical. I'll pick a point on this line and a point on this line, and I'll say okay. Now, if this line were to move over, that line will move as well. Also do a make equal. Do an equal length. So make equal length. And I want this line and this line to be equal. I'll say okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I want the midpoint of this line to be coincident with my horizontal axis here. So I'll say make coincident the midpoint of this line to our horizontal axis. I'll say okay. Now everything's symmetrical across this horizontal axis. So if we moved one side, everything's going to move symmetrically with the other side. So let's go ahead and add our dimensions here. So this top line is 0.2 inches. The overall height is 1 inch. Overall width is 1/2 inch. And then this web is 0.3 inches. So let's go ahead and add those in. So this top line here is going to be 0.2. Our overall height, so from that top point to this bottom point, is 1 inch. The overall width is 1/2 inch. So I'll say, from this line to the center, I'm going to say equals 0.5 divided by 2, since, we are dimensioning this from the center line, and then when we mirror this across, this will be a total width of 1/2 inch. Same thing with our web thickness here. So this is equals 0.3 divided by 2. So that when this mirrors over, the total width is going to be 0.3 inches. Now I'm going to go to mirror. Notice that sketch is fully defined right now. Now we're not done with this, but we do need this to be fully defined right now before we do the mirror. If your sketch is not fully defined, make sure you have those constraints that we added in and make sure that you have everything dimensioned correctly. So we're going to go to mirror. Before I select curves, I'm going to go down to settings. I'm going to make sure that we have create persistent relation turned on. We don't really need to convert centerline to reference because we're referencing the vertical axis here, but that's fine. The mirror or the curve to mirror, we're going to make sure that we have all of our lines selected. And then we'll click on select center line, and I'm going to click on the vertical axis right here. I'll say OK. Now we have this mirrored across. I'm going to go to my line tool, and I'm just going to connect these top and bottom lines together. Sketch is fully defined, and we have our completed 2D boundary. I'll say finish. And that is the cross section of our C-clamp base. Now to take this and create the actual C-clamp, we're going to use our sweep. To do that, we're going to need a guide. So we're going to need a line for the sweep to follow. So we're going to, when we do the sweep, we'll select this sketch and we'll say sweep this sketch along a path. We are going to create another sketch here from essentially the plane that we just sketched this section view in, and we'll create our path. Okay, so this center path for us to follow. I do want to point out that yes, the section is right here. Okay, section view is right here. But if we were to, whenever we create our path, we're going to start it at this point here. So notice that where this round feature intersects our frame. So our sketch that we just created is basically located right here, not where we have our section. The section is just showing the shape. So back in NX, we're going to create another sketch. This time we're going to sketch in our right plane. And so here's the sketch that we just created. So we're going to create our path for the sweep to follow in the right plane. So I'll go to my profile tool. I'll make sure that we start at the origin here. So start at the sketch origin. And we're going to create our basic shape that we have. So we come out, and then we have our arc. I'll make sure we start here. Have our arc. And then we go vertical distance. We have another arc here. We just want to make sure that the end of this arc has a horizontal constraint with this line here. If you don't get it in, that's fine. So I'm just going to add and place it there. So we want this point here at the end of the arc to be aligned with this point, but I'll add in that just in case we didn't get it there. So we should have something that looks like this. We'll go ahead and start adding in our dimensions here. So we're done with our profile tool. Let's start adding in our dimensions. So this line here is going to be 1.65. That is where this line, the length of this line up into where the arc begins. Then the arc has a radius of 2. And if something like this happens, that's fine. What we'll do is we'll do a make tangent between this line and this curve. We'll say OK. And then we'll do a make vertical on this line. Clear that up. This line, the length of this line is going to be 2 inches. This arc has a radius of 2 inches as well. We could also do a make equal constraint and say that those are going to be equal, but we'll leave it at that. And you want to make sure that this point here and this point are horizontal. So we'll do a make horizontal constraint where we select endpoint and the endpoint. We'll say OK. Goes make horizontal constraint with the endpoints so that they are horizontally aligned together. The radius of 2 inches on both of the arcs. This vertical line is 2 inches. This horizontal line is 1.65 inches. And we'll say sketch is fully defined. We'll say finish. And hopefully you can see kind of what we're doing here now. So here is our section view. Here's the section plane of our C-clamp base. And we want to sweep this along this path. So to go to the sweep, we'll go to menu. So menu over here. And go to insert. And down about here we see a sweep. There's a few options for the sweep. We want just the swept. So we do sweep, swept. And what the swept tool is going to ask us for is the curve. So the section that's going to be swept. The guide, so our path that we select. And we can't have more than one. We're just going to have the one here. And there's different ways that we can actually sweep this section along the path. We'll go to preserve shape, but we can worry about that here in a second. So the section that we want to select is going to be our profile shape. We'll go to select curve. We'll select the sketch path that we created. And we want to make sure that preserve shape is checkmarked. So we're preserving this shape along this path. And we'll say OK. And there is the frame of our C-clamp. All right, let's work on the threaded hole part. So let's look at it from the bottom view. So we have a round feature that is 1 inch in diameter. It is the same height as the frame itself, so 1 inch. And it's located 0.35 inches from the edge of our sketch here. So we'll go back to NX. We'll create a sketch, this time on our top face. This can be a little weird to look at. So we're sketching on this plane here, but you're kind of looking at it through the top. You could like go to edit section and divide that off if you want to. I'm just going to keep it like this because this part is not super complicated. So we're going to have a circle. I'm just going to create the circle over here. I'll give this a diameter of 1 inch. I want this to be located on the center of this to be coincident with my vertical axis here. So I'll do a make coincident. Center of that to my vertical axis. I'll say OK. And now this is going to be located So the center of this is also going to be located 0.35 inches from the horizontal axis. 0.35 inches. So it should look like this. We're intersecting into our the base. Sketch is fully defined. I'll say finish. I'll go ahead and go to extrude. For the value, so I'm going to do symmetric value. 1 inches for our symmetric value. Right now it's the Boolean. If we look at the Boolean, it's thinking that we want to subtract material, but we don't. We actually want to add. So we will go to unite. So we're uniting with the base that we have. I'll say show results just to make sure that looks okay. Yeah, that looks good to me. So we'll say okay. Remember, if you want to double check to make sure that you have everything united correctly, you can always come up here to unite. And when you hover over the solid bodies that you have, if everything is highlighted all at once, you know everything is united. If, for example, this was highlighted red, but the base wasn't, then we have two individual solid bodies, and that's not what we want. So we do want everything highlighted red. And we do have a threaded hole. This is a 1/2 inch 13 UNC. It's all the way through, and we have both sides with a chamfer on them. Go back in NX, we'll go to our hole tool. This is a threaded hole. This will be a 1/2 inch 13 UNC. We want on chamfer, we want start chamfer and end chamfer. And we can just pick up the center mark for our the edge of the extrude here. So we don't need to go into a sketch or anything. We can just pick up the center of this arc. The thread depth is full, and the limit is going to be a through body. I'll say show results. Looks good to me. I'll say okay. Now on the other side of the clamp, we do have this this boss here, this round feature. This is centered on this feature. So this puck, if you will, is going to, the center of this needs to be aligned with the center of this one here. So we're going to sketch on this plane of the surface of this clamp. We'll make our circle. When we align it, so we'll do a make coincident, we're going to specify this feature here. So let's go back to NX. I'll say sketch. I want to sketch on this surface. So we're looking at the bottom of the C-clamp right there. I'll say okay. So now we're going to like at the reverse of what we were looking at before. So when we created this feature, we were looking at it from like this. Now we're looking at it like this, and that's totally fine. So I'll do a circle. I'm just going to make it somewhere over here. The diameter of this is 1.25, so 1.25 diameter. And now to align this, so I'll do a make coincident. I want the center of this to be aligned with the center of this feature here. So it's not in our active sketch. So we're going to change our scope to within work part only. And I'm going to pick up the center of the extrude. Center of the extrude, you could do the center of the arc that we made in the sketch itself. Either way is fine. Oops, let's see. I think I picked up the edge. Make sure you pick up the center. Make sure you want to pick up the center. That looks better. So I'll say okay. Sketch is fully defined. This will enable it. So let's say that, right now this is 0.35 inches away, but let's say we change that to 0.25, right? So this whole feature would move towards the inside of the clamp. this would move as well. And so that's the design intent that we're told. And so that's what we'll keep. I'll say finish. We're going to extrude this out a distance of 0.125, eighth of an inch. So we'll say extrude. Make sure that we are going down. Distance of 0.125. And I do want to unite this. We are uniting it with our frame. We'll say OK. Make sure that we save this. And that is the frame of our C-clamp. So make sure that you save this file and submit it to the Dropbox on Canvas.